The late arrival. The full moon hung high in the sky, casting a silver glow over the sprawling Lycan kingdom. Shadows of ancient trees stretched across the marble courtyard of the Alpha's palace, dancing in the wind. Inside, the grand halls echoed with the faint sound of armored guards and distant laughter from the evening festivities. Yet, in the heart of the palace, one man's rage was about to eclipse all else. King Kyle Veyron, Alpha of the northern clans, stood at the balcony overlooking the moonlit gardens. His silver eyes, sharp as winter ice, scanned the horizon, noting every flicker of movement. The Alpha's senses, attuned to his pack, instantly detected an anomaly, her scent delicate but familiar, drifting in the night air. A scent that belonged to his personal maid, Alara. "Is this an hour to come home?" Kale's voice, low and controlled, trembled with barely contained fury. His teeth clenched as he stepped forward, the edges of his claws scraping against the stone floor. Every heartbeat pounded like a drum in his chest, every instinct screaming, "She's late. She should never be late." Alara's slender figure appeared at the main gates, her cloak billowing behind her. She carried herself with her usual grace, but there was something different tonight. A tension in her shoulders, a fleeting hesitation in her step. She glanced up at the towering silhouette on the balcony and froze. Kyle's gaze locked onto her, fiery and unyielding. He didn't wait for explanations. His mind raced with unspoken jealousy. Every Alpha in the realm knew how precious loyalty was, and yet, the thought of her being anywhere near another man's attention was unbearable. When she finally crossed the courtyard, her soft footsteps echoing against the stone, Kyle descended the staircase in a single, fluid motion. The air seemed to thicken around him, charged with the magnetic force of a king scorned. Guards instinctively stepped back, their eyes wide in awe and fear, but Kale didn't care. Only Alara mattered. "Lara," he said, his voice low, each syllable deliberate, dangerous. "Explain yourself." "Now." Alara bowed her head, cheeks flushing under his intense gaze. "Alpha, I had to deliver the provisions to the eastern wolves." The path was blocked and Kale's hands curled into fists at his sides, trembling slightly, not from anger at her explanation, but at the thought of her in the hands of another. "Do you think I care for excuses when you are late?" His growl was soft, yet it made her heart stutter. She could feel it vibrating through the air, pulling her closer despite herself. I am sorry, Alpha," she whispered, voice barely audible. "It won't happen again." Kale stepped closer, the scent of his wolf rising, sharp and commanding. He leaned down, eyes narrowing, as if she could feel the very heat of his jealousy wrapping around her like a second skin. "It better not," he murmured, his voice dropping to a dangerous velvet. "Because if I see another Alpha near you, I won't forgive you. Not ever." Alara's breath hitched. Her pulse raced, not just from fear, but from the intensity of his gaze. Something primal stirred deep within her, an undeniable pull that no words could contain. She had served him loyally for years, always keeping the line between master and maid clear. But tonight, under the full moon and the shadowed garden, the line began to blur. Kale circled her like a predator assessing his prey, each step deliberate, each glance scorching her very soul. His aura filled the courtyard, the air around them thick with tension and unspoken desire. "Do you understand me?" he demanded. "Yes, Alpha," she breathed, though her mind swirled with questions and forbidden thoughts. Kyle's jaw tightened. He wanted to drag her into his private chambers, to punish her for being late, and perhaps to claim her in ways that words could not describe. But the etiquette of the court and his duty as Alpha restrained him, just barely. For the first time, Alara realized that the Alpha King she had served for years was not just a figure of authority. He was a storm she could not resist, a force that could consume her with just one look. And for Kale, the thought of losing her, even for a moment, was unbearable. The moon above bore witness to the tension between them, a silent guardian of the storm brewing beneath the polished floors and velvet halls. Tonight, something had shifted, a spark had been ignited, and once the Alpha's jealousy was awakened, nothing would ever be the same. If you want, I can continue with part 2, where Kyle's jealousy escalates into a private confrontation, and the tension between Alpha and Maid becomes more dangerous and intimate. Do you want me to continue with part 2? The grand doors of the palace closed behind Alara with a muted thud, cutting her off from the world outside. Yet, the sense of safety she had hoped for was an illusion. Kyle was already there, waiting, his figure dominating the chamber like a shadow of the moon itself. Every flicker of candlelight danced across the sharp lines of his face, highlighting the intensity in his silver eyes. "Lara," he said, his voice a low rumble that seemed to vibrate through the walls. "Come here." She froze. The command was simple, but the undertone was anything but. Her heart thrummed violently in her chest, a rhythm she could no longer control. She stepped forward, each footfall heavy with anticipation and fear. Kyle's presence was overwhelming. It wasn't just authority, it was hunger, possessive and raw. As she reached him, Kyle's hand shot out, gripping her wrist with a strength that was both frightening and intoxicating. His gaze bore into hers, searching, claiming, demanding. "Do you understand what happens when you are late, Alara?" I do, Alpha," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I will never be late again." Kyle's lips curved into a dangerous smile. "You do not understand. Being late, it awakened something in me. Something primal. He leaned closer, and the scent of his wolf filled her senses, a mix of musk, danger, and an undeniable allure that made her knees weak. And when that part of me awakens, no one can stop what I desire. Her breath caught in her throat. She had served him for years, had felt loyalty and respect, but never this raw, magnetic pull. Every instinct in her body screamed both warning and temptation. Kale circled her slowly, like a predator savoring its prey, the shadows of the room wrapping them in intimacy. "Do you feel it too?" he asked, his voice dropping to a velvet growl. "That pull, that tension." Elora swallowed hard, unable to look away. Her pulse raced, and a shiver ran down her spine. "I feel it, Alpha," she admitted, though the words seemed to betray her own restraint. A sudden movement, Kale's hand brushing a strand of hair from her face, sent a jolt through her. He held her gaze, and in that moment, the world narrowed to just the two of them. The Alpha's jealousy was no longer a distant storm. It was a fire that crackled between them, demanding attention. "I will not share you with anyone, Elara," Kale growled, his hands now resting lightly on her shoulders. "Not another Alpha, not another servant, not anyone. You are mine." The words struck her like lightning. She had never heard such ownership spoken aloud, never felt such intensity directed solely at her. Yet, deep inside, a part of her had always longed for this, his acknowledgement, his desire, his claim. Before she could respond, Kyle leaned in, the heat from his body radiating against hers. His silver eyes searched hers, reading every flicker of fear, hesitation, and forbidden longing. Slowly, deliberately, he pressed his forehead against hers, a whisper of dominance and connection. "You will obey me, Elara," he murmured, his voice softer now, yet edged with steel. "Because I am the Alpha King, and you are mine to protect, to command, and perhaps to desire." Elara's knees weakened, her heart a tumultuous storm of fear, longing, and something far more dangerous. The line between duty and desire had blurred completely. The Alpha King she had served for years was no longer just a figure of authority. He was a force that could overwhelm her, body and soul. Kale's hand slid down to her waist, steadying her, anchoring her in a world where only he existed. Every inch of her being screamed in response, both warning and invitation. The tension between them was unbearable, a living, breathing thing that refused to be ignored. And in that moment, under the silver glow of the moon filtering through the grand windows, a silent understanding passed between them. Nothing would ever be the same again. The Alpha's jealousy had awakened a storm, and neither of them would emerge unscathed. If you want, I can continue with part 3, where the first intimate confrontation truly ignites, and Kale's jealousy pushes them both into dangerous, passionate territory. Do you want me to continue with part 3? The moonlight spilled across the ornate floor of the Alpha King's private chambers, casting silver shadows that seemed to twist and writhe with the tension in the room. Elara stood near the window, heart pounding, every nerve alight with anticipation and fear. She had never seen Kale like this, so possessive, so dangerously alive with jealousy. Kyle's presence filled the room like a storm ready to break. He did not speak at first, letting his eyes roam over her, drinking in her scent, her form, every subtle shiver that betrayed her restrained desire. The air between them was thick, charged with a primal energy neither could deny. "You are mine," he finally said, his voice a low growl that rumbled through the chamber. "Do you understand what that means, Elara?" She swallowed hard, trying to steady herself. "Why, yes, Alpha," she whispered, though even she wasn't sure what she meant by it. The word mine felt heavy with power, with danger, with something exquisitely intoxicating. Kale stepped closer, each movement deliberate, predatory. "I have watched over you, protected you. Yet I cannot stand the thought of another seeing you, touching you, even glancing at you with desire." His hands reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face, sending a jolt of heat through her body. "Every time you are near another man," his voice broke off into a growl, the control slipping, "I lose myself." Elara's pulse quickened, and the air around them seemed to shimmer with tension. "Alpha," she breathed, but the word was fragile, almost lost against the force of his presence. Kyle's hand moved to her waist, fingers pressing firmly, anchoring her. His eyes never left hers, silver and fierce, yet shadowed with an emotion deeper than anger, something primal, possessive, and dangerously intoxicating. "Do you feel it too?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "This pull between us?" "Yes," she admitted, her lips parting as a shiver ran through her. "I feel it." The moment hung suspended in time. Then, with a sudden surge of motion, Kale pulled her close, his body pressing against hers. Her breath hitched as the strength of his wolf surged through him, the Alpha claiming her in every instinctual way. His hands roamed with a careful possessiveness, marking, testing, and stirring a fire within her she had never known. "You cannot hide from me," he growled, lips brushing dangerously close to hers. "Not in body, not in mind, not in heart. You belong to me, Elara. Every thought, every heartbeat mine." Her knees trembled under his touch. She had served him for years, yet never had she imagined the raw, consuming force of his desire. And yet, despite the fear, a part of her longed for it, craved it. The forbidden, the dangerous, the undeniable pull of the Alpha who had watched over her, and now wanted her with a hunger that could not be denied. Cal's eyes softened for the briefest moment, revealing a flicker of vulnerability beneath the storm. Do you understand why I cannot let you go? He murmured, forehead resting against hers. I cannot risk another claiming even a piece of you. Because I am the alpha, and you are my mate, whether you accept it or not. Alara's heart pounded, her breath coming in shallow gasps. She wanted to resist, to maintain the boundaries she had always respected. But the intensity of his gaze, the strength of his presence, and the undeniable magnetism between them left her powerless. For the first time, under the silver glow of the moon, Alara realized that this alpha king, jealous, possessive, commanding, was not just her master. He was a force that would consume her body and soul if she let him, and the thought terrified her. Yet it thrilled her in ways she had never known. Kale pressed closer, a low growl vibrating from his chest as he leaned even nearer. Tonight, Alara, he whispered, I claim you. Every part of you, every moment, every heartbeat mine, and no one will ever take you from me. Her lips parted, a soft gasp escaping as the tension snapped, and the room seemed to pulse with their unspoken desires. The Alpha King's jealousy had transformed into something far more dangerous, far more irresistible. If you want, I can continue with part 4, where Kale and Alara's first true physical and emotional union happens, igniting their bond and setting the stage for deeper romantic and supernatural intrigue. Do you want me to continue with part 4? The moonlight bathed the chamber in a silver haze, illuminating the tension between them. Alara's pulse raced, every nerve alive with anticipation and fear. Cal's presence was magnetic, consuming, a force of nature she could not resist. His silver eyes bore into hers, a mix of dominance, hunger, and something softer, a longing he rarely showed to anyone. Cal stepped closer, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. Lara, he murmured, his voice low, a growl that vibrated in her bones. You cannot hide your longing from me. I can feel it in every heartbeat, every breath you take. She swallowed hard, shivering under his gaze. Alpha I, her voice faltered, betraying the storm of desire and fear within her. She had always respected the line between servant and master, but the line had disappeared the moment he claimed her with his jealousy. Cal's hand slid to her cheek, tilting her face up. His thumb brushed her lips, and she felt heat surge through her. Do you understand, Alara? He whispered. Tonight you are mine. Not just in body, but in heart and soul. I have waited too long, watched too long, to let another. He broke off, silencing himself with a soft growl. Ever come near you? Before she could respond, he leaned in, pressing his lips to hers with a force that stole her breath. The kiss was demanding, fierce yet intoxicating, a mixture of dominance and longing. Alara's hands instinctively found their way to his chest, feeling the strength beneath his clothing, the rapid beat of his heart matching her own. Cal's hands roamed her back, pulling her closer, pressing her against him. Every inch of his body claimed her, marked her, as if the air itself had shifted to their rhythm. Do you feel it, Alara? He growled against her lips. This pull between us, this fire? Yes, Alpha, she whispered, voice trembling. I feel it. The moment spiraled into a dance of desire and control. Cal's wolf, a part of him that was always restrained in public, stirred, unleashed by his jealousy and the sight of her trembling beneath his gaze. His hands traced the curve of her waist, pulling her impossibly closer, while his lips found the sensitive skin of her neck, nipping lightly. Alara gasped, a mixture of surprise and need, her hands tangling in his silver hair. I have waited for this moment for years. Cal murmured, his teeth brushing against her earlobe. Every heartbeat, every glance, every secret smile you've given, I've wanted you, Alara. Only you. And now. His growl deepened, resonating through the room. Now you cannot escape me. Alara's knees weakened, but Cal's strong arms held her effortlessly. The intensity of his possessiveness was overwhelming, but strangely comforting. She had always trusted him, served him, and now she realized the depth of their connection. The Alpha's jealousy had unveiled the truth. They were bound in ways beyond duty, beyond reason. Cal's lips found hers again, this time softer, slower, exploring the vulnerability she revealed willingly. His hands moved with reverence and insistence, mapping every curve, every line, every shiver. The bond between them, the Alpha and his maid, was no longer a matter of service or hierarchy. It was primal, intimate, and inevitable. Lara, Cal whispered, his forehead resting against hers. You are mine, in every way. Can you accept that? Her breath hitched, tears threatening to fall, not from fear but from the overwhelming pull of desire and belonging. Yes, Alpha, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I am yours. The declaration was like a spark to dry tinder. Kyle's wolf surged, the Alpha's dominance and passion intertwining with her surrender. The chamber seemed to pulse with energy, every heartbeat synchronized, every breath shared. In that moment, under the silver glow of the moon, the Alpha King and his maid became more than master and servant. They became mates, bonded by jealousy, desire, and an unbreakable connection that would define them forever. Cal held her close, pressing soft kisses along her forehead, her jawline, letting her feel the depth of his claim without words. Alara melted into him, her heart racing, knowing that the Alpha's jealousy had led them to this moment, a moment of fire, passion, and undeniable destiny. Outside, the moon shone brightly, witness to the union of two souls bound by power, passion, and the fierce, protective love of a king and his chosen mate. If you want, I can continue with part 5 where their bond faces the first test, jealous rivals, pack politics and external threats that force Cale to protect Elara, intensifying both romance and suspense. Do you want me to continue with part 5? The palace was quiet in the early hours of the morning, but the air was far from peaceful. Elara sat near the window, watching the silver glow of the moon fade behind the distant mountains. Her body still hummed with the memory of Cale's possessive embrace, the undeniable heat of their union lingering in every nerve. Yet a shadow loomed, a whisper of danger that even the Alpha could not ignore. Kyle entered silently, his presence filling the room like a storm about to break. His silver eyes softened the moment they landed on her, but a flicker of concern darkened their depths. "Lara," he murmured, crossing the room with long, predatory strides. "There are whispers rival packs are moving. One of them may attempt to test my claim on you." Elara's heart skipped a beat. She had served him for years, but she had never faced danger like this, not outside the palace, and certainly not with her emotions so entangled. "Alpha, they won't dare," she whispered, trying to sound braver than she felt. Kyle's jaw tightened, his wolf stirring beneath the surface. "They will," he said simply. "And if they do, I will make them regret it." His hands brushed her hair back, a protective gesture that sent warmth flooding through her despite the fear. "You are mine, Elara. Every Alpha in the northern clans knows that. Anyone who dares challenge that will face my wrath." The tension in the room was palpable. Elara felt a strange thrill, the danger, the intensity, the undeniable magnetism of the Alpha's jealousy now transformed into fierce protectiveness. For the first time, she understood that Cale's possessiveness was not just desire, it was survival instinct and love entwined. Just as she opened her mouth to speak, a distant howl echoed through the night. Kyle stiffened, ears flicking, his wolf senses flaring. "They are here," he growled, his body coiling with tension. "Come with me." Elara followed instinctively, her own senses on high alert. The palace corridors stretched before them like a labyrinth, shadows dancing along the walls. Kyle's hand never left hers, holding her close, grounding her as the danger approached. Every step heightened the tension between them, the closeness forcing her to feel both his protection and his raw desire simultaneously. In the courtyard, a group of rival Alphas emerged, their postures aggressive, their eyes burning with envy and challenge. Cale stepped forward, the very air around him shifting, powerful, commanding, impossibly Alpha. His presence was magnetic, a shield and a weapon all at once. "You dare approach my palace," Cale's voice was low, dangerous, carrying the weight of authority and jealousy. "Step closer, and you will regret it." The rivals hesitated, sensing the storm that Cale embodied. But one stepped forward, arrogant and dismissive. "You claim her as your own Alpha," he sneered. "But is she truly yours, or are you too weak to defend your claim?" Kyle's eyes narrowed, and the ground seemed to vibrate beneath him as his wolf surged to the surface. His growl rolled like thunder, shaking the air. "She is mine," he said, his voice like steel and fire combined. "And if any of you touch her, I will show no mercy." Elara's heart raced, both terrified and exhilarated. She could feel the raw power emanating from him, the jealousy, the possessiveness, the love, all fused into a force that made her tremble. She had never felt so safe and so desired at the same time. The rivals hesitated, sensing the depth of Cale's claim, the intensity of his protective jealousy. Slowly, they backed away, retreating into the shadows, leaving Cale and Elara alone in the courtyard under the pale light of dawn. Kyle turned to her, his chest heaving, eyes burning with unrestrained emotion. He pulled her close, pressing his forehead against hers. "Do you understand now, Elara?" he whispered, his voice low, almost tender beneath the storm of jealousy. "No one will ever take you from me. Not while I draw breath. You are mine, my mate, my everything." Elara's heart overflowed with emotion. Fear, desire, longing, and love intertwined in a whirlwind. She reached up, touching his face, feeling the sharp planes of his jaw, the heat of his skin. "Alpha, I am yours," she breathed, her voice trembling with conviction. "Now and forever." Cale's lips curved into a rare, soft smile. "Good," he murmured. "Because I will never let you go. Not to rivals, not to fate, not even to yourself if you try." The morning sun began to rise, but in that courtyard, the Alpha King and his maid stood locked in a bond forged through jealousy, desire, and an unbreakable claim, a bond that nothing and no one could sever. If you want, I can continue with part 6, where Cale and Elara face deeper political intrigue within the Lycan packs, and their passion intensifies alongside the dangers threatening their love. Do you want me to continue with part 6? The palace had returned to its usual calm, but the echoes of the previous night's tension lingered in every corridor. Kyle moved through the halls with purpose, his senses alert to every whisper, every shift in the air. Elara walked beside him, her hand lightly brushing his, comforted by his proximity and yet aware that danger still lurked beyond the walls. "The northern clans are restless," Cale murmured, his silver eyes narrowing as he surveyed the courtyard. "Some do not respect my claim. Others envy it." His voice held a quiet, dangerous edge, a warning that none would dare ignore. Elara's gaze followed him, worry and admiration mixing in her chest. "Alpha, do you think they will try something?" she asked softly. Cal's jaw tightened. "They always try," he replied, "and they will always fail." His hand found hers, squeezing gently, a reminder that, despite the politics, she was his. But you must understand, Alara, being mine comes with danger. With every declaration of my claim, there are those who would challenge it. Alara nodded, her own instincts sharpening. She had always known the world of the Alphas was ruthless, but seeing it up close with Kyle revealed the depth of the stakes. She also knew without doubt that she would stand with him, fearful, yes, but resolute. As they entered the council chambers, whispers immediately fell silent. Several rival Alphas and advisors were gathered, their expressions a mixture of respect, curiosity, and barely concealed disdain. Kale's presence dominated the room, every movement commanding attention. We must discuss the territories bordering the eastern wolves. One of the advisors began, but Kale raised a hand, silencing the room. This is not merely about land, Kale said, his voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of menace. It is about my pack, my claim, and those who dare challenge it. And make no mistake. His eyes flicked toward Alara, whose hand rested lightly on his arm. Any challenge against me is a challenge against her. Against my mate. A murmur rippled through the room. The word mate carried weight, finality, and a warning. Cal had staked a claim, and it was absolute. One of the rival Alphas, a tall, imposing figure with dark fur and piercing amber eyes, stepped forward. Alpha Veyron, he said carefully, "Are you suggesting that your maid?" His eyes flicked to Alara, a mixture of curiosity and disdain. "Has such a place in your pack? That she is more than a servant?" Kyle's lips curved into a dangerous smile. "She is more than a servant," he said slowly, deliberately. "She is mine. And any Alpha who doubts that will learn the cost of arrogance." Alara's heart raced at his words. Every word, every declaration, reaffirmed her bond with him. She had never felt so protected, so desired, and so dangerously close to someone whose passion could both terrify and thrill her. The rival Alpha's jaw tightened, clearly unwilling to challenge him directly, but the tension in the room remained thick, a storm contained only by Kyle's dominance. Once the meeting concluded, Kale led Alara back to the private chambers. The weight of politics and rivalry lingered, but the moment they were alone, it dissolved into something intensely personal. Kale pressed her against the wall, his hands gripping her waist, his lips brushing against her ear. "Do you understand now? Alara," he whispered, his voice low and commanding. "The world will always test us. Others will envy, others will threaten, but I will always protect you, always claim you, always desire you." Alara's breath hitched. "Alpha, I trust you. I will stand with you no matter what." Kyle's wolf growled softly, a sound that resonated deep in her chest. "Good," he murmured, pulling her close, lips capturing hers in a fierce, possessive kiss. "Because this bond, this fire between us, no rival, no enemy, and no fate can break it. You are mine, Alara, forever." Outside, the moon rose again, casting a silver glow over the palace. Within its walls, the Alpha King and his mate had forged a bond stronger than any threat, fueled by jealousy, desire, and the unshakable certainty that they belonged to each other, body, heart, and soul. If you want, I can continue with Part 7, where external threats escalate into direct confrontations, forcing Kale and Alara into dangerous, passionate adventures that test both their love and their loyalty to the pack. Do you want me to continue with Part 7? The full moon hung heavy and silver over the forest surrounding the palace. The wind carried whispers of movement, faint sense of rival packs testing the boundaries of Kale's territory. The Alpha King's senses were sharp, his wolf restless beneath the surface, alert to every disturbance. "Alara," Kale said, his voice low and commanding, "stay close. Tonight, we hunt." Alara's pulse quickened, both from fear and the thrill of being by his side. She had trained under him for years, but never had she been this close to the raw intensity of his wolf in action. Her loyalty was unwavering, and now, under the moonlight, she felt the fire of something far deeper. Desire intertwined with adrenaline, a dangerous cocktail that made her heartbeat quicken. Kyle moved with lethal grace through the shadows, his senses mapping the forest like a second skin. Alara followed, her steps careful, attuned to his movements. She could feel the tension radiating from him, a mixture of protective jealousy and primal desire that seemed to wrap around her like an invisible shroud. Suddenly, a rustle in the underbrush. Kale froze, his eyes narrowing. His wolf surged, senses ablaze. "They're close," he growled, teeth bared, every muscle coiled like a spring. "Stay behind me. Do not make a sound." Alara's breath hitched. Her hand found his arm, and he allowed her to hold on, not breaking stride as they moved deeper into the shadows. The rival pack was testing him, challenging his claim, not just over territory but over her. A figure emerged from the shadows, a rival Alpha, tall, dangerous, and clearly underestimating Kyle. "Veyron," the Alpha sneered. "You think your claim is unchallenged, that your mate," his eyes flicked to Alara, burning with envy, "belongs to you." Kyle's growl was low, a rumble that rolled through the forest. His wolf surged forward, muscles coiled, eyes blazing. "She is mine," he growled, his voice a deadly promise, "and anyone who dares to touch her will regret it. Forever." Alara's heart raced as she felt the heat radiating from him, the raw possessiveness that was both terrifying and exhilarating. She had never felt so wanted, so fiercely protected, and so dangerously close to someone whose jealousy could both shield and ignite her. The rival lunged, underestimating Cal's speed. In a blur, Cal intercepted, fangs bared, eyes silver with fury. The forest seemed to tremble with the Alpha's power, every movement precise, every strike deliberate. Alara watched, heart pounding as Cal defended not just his territory, but her, his mate, his claim, his desire. When the rival retreated, wounded and humiliated, Cal's gaze immediately sought Alara. His chest heaved, eyes burning with unrestrained emotion. "Do you see?" he murmured, voice rough with intensity. "No one, Alara, no one will ever take you from me. I will fight for you. I will protect you. And I will claim you every time, in every way." Alara stepped forward, touching his face, feeling the heat of his skin, the strength of his presence. "Alpha, I know," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I am yours. Always." Cal's lips curved into a dangerous smile, his wolf growling softly in the background. He pulled her into his arms, pressing her against him, their bodies aligning in the moonlight. "Good," he murmured, "because the hunt is far from over. And tonight I claim you once more." The forest seemed to fall silent around them, as if acknowledging the bond of the Alpha King and his mate. The danger had only intensified their connection, their passion, and their unbreakable claim to each other. In the shadows of the trees under the silver glow of the full moon, Cal and Alara's love burned brighter, a fire that no rival, no threat, and no destiny could ever extinguish. If you want, I can continue with Part 8, where rival packs escalate their attacks, political intrigue deepens, and Cal and Alara navigate deadly games of power while their passion and devotion grow even stronger. Do you want me to continue with Part 8? The palace had become a fortress. Guards patrolled every corridor, and Cal's senses stretched beyond walls, mapping the whispers and movements of rival alphas. But even amidst the tension, one thing remained constant: Alara's presence at his side, a tether to his humanity and the storm of desire within him. "Alara," Cal murmured, his silver eyes catching the flicker of candlelight as they moved through the private corridors. "Tonight, they will attempt more than tests. Some will try to strike at you, at us." Her hand found his, and he allowed her to grasp it tightly, grounding both of them. "Alpha, I am not afraid," she said, though her voice trembled slightly. "With you, I can face anything." Cal's jaw tightened, his wolf surged beneath his skin, a protective force coiling around them both. "Good," he growled softly, "because fear is a luxury we cannot afford, and desire must be controlled, for now." They entered the moonlit courtyard, the scent of danger sharp in the air. Rival alphas lurked near the tree line, their eyes glinting with envy and ambition. Kyle's muscles tensed, every sense focused on them. "Do not move," he whispered to Alara, though his hand stayed firmly on her waist, pulling her close, claiming her even in the midst of threat. A shadow moved forward, bold, reckless. "Veyron," the alpha snarled, stepping into the moonlight. "You flaunt your claim too openly. Your maid, does she truly belong to you, or is she merely a prize to assert your power?" Kyle's silver eyes narrowed. His growl rolled through the air, low and dangerous. "She belongs to me," he said, his voice a deadly promise. "In body, heart, and soul. Anyone who doubts that will learn the meaning of pain and regret." Alara's heart raced, not from fear but from the intensity radiating from him. She had always admired his strength, but seeing it now, so raw, so protective, so utterly possessive, made her pulse thunder in her veins. The rival lunged, testing Cal's patience. With a surge of power, Cal intercepted, his movements fluid, precise, and lethal. The forest echoed with the clash of wills, fangs, and the growl of rival wolves. Alara watched, body pressed close to him, feeling the heat, the strength, the dominance that was hers alone. When the rival finally retreated, wounded and humbled, Cal turned to her, silver eyes softening in an instant. "Do you see now?" he murmured, voice thick with emotion. "No one will ever take you from me. I will fight, I will claim, I will protect always." Alara pressed herself against him, feeling the undeniable bond they shared. "I know, Alpha," she whispered. "I am yours now and forever." Kyle's hands cupped her face, pulling her close. Their lips met in a kiss both tender and fierce, a release of tension and a reaffirmation of their bond. The danger outside only intensified the fire between them, a passion fueled by jealousy, desire, and the unbreakable claim of an alpha king on his mate. "Tonight," Cal murmured against her lips, "you are mine in every way, and no revel, no threat, no destiny can take you from me. Do you understand, Alara?" "Yes, Alpha," she breathed, voice trembling. "I am yours always." Under the glow of the full moon, with the shadows of rivals lurking just beyond the palace walls, Cal and Alara stood together, a storm of desire, power, and unyielding love. In the Alpha King's arms, she had found safety, passion, and a bond that no threat could sever. And in her, Cal had found his mate, his equal, and the fire that would burn between them forever. If you want, I can continue with Part 9, where Cal and Alara confront a major betrayal within the palace, escalating danger, political intrigue, and deepening the emotional and passionate stakes of their bond. Do you want me to continue with Part 9? The palace was quieter than usual, but an unsettling tension hung in the air. Cal's instincts were taut, every nerve alert, every shadow a potential threat. His wolf prowled beneath his skin, senses straining for the faintest sign of danger. And tonight, danger was closer than either of them imagined. "Lara," Cal murmured, his silver eyes scanning the corridors. "Something is wrong. I can feel it in the air." Someone close to us has betrayed our trust. Alara's hand tightened around his. Alpha, who would dare? Her voice trembled, equal parts fear and defiance. She had faced rivals in the forests and challenges from outside the palace, but betrayal from within, that was a darkness she was not ready for. Cal's jaw tightened. Someone we trusted, he said, his tone cold, precise. And it puts you in danger. Stay close to me. No one touches you, not while I am here. The footsteps echoed through the grand hallway. Cal's eyes narrowed, tracking the movement. A trusted advisor emerged, smiling politely. But there was something off, a flicker of hesitation, a hidden tension. You, Cal growled, stepping forward, wolf instincts flaring. You were supposed to serve this pack, not betray it. The advisor's smile faltered. Alpha, it's not what you think. He began, but Cal cut him off with a gesture. Do not lie to me. Cal's voice thundered, low and dangerous. Your deception puts her life at risk. My mate, my claim, and you. His hands clenched, energy crackling with possessive fury. Will answer for this. Alara stepped forward, placing a hand lightly on Cal's arm. Alpha, I can help, she whispered, determination flickering in her eyes. I know this palace better than anyone. If someone is hiding, I can find them. Cal's gaze softened briefly, a flicker of admiration in the silver depths. You are mine, he murmured, his thumb brushing her cheek. And yet, you are also strong, fearless, indispensable. Together, they moved through the palace, senses heightened, hearts pounding, every corner a potential threat. The tension between them was palpable, not just from the betrayal, but from the unspoken, lingering fire of desire that simmered under Cal's protective dominance. In the dim light of a hidden chamber, they found the traitor attempting to sabotage the Alpha's plans. Cal's wolf surged, energy coiling around him like a living force. You will pay, he growled, moving forward with lethal precision. Alara stayed close, yet her touch on his arm reminded him of the bond that grounded him, the claim they shared, unbreakable, passionate, and absolute. Alpha together, she whispered. With synchronized precision, Cal and Alara confronted the betrayer, not just as master and maid, but as a united force, Maid and Alpha, desire and strength intertwined. The advisor crumbled under the weight of Cal's wrath and the undeniable aura of possession that surrounded them both. When the danger passed, Cal turned to Alara, silver eyes soft yet fierce. Do you see, Alara? Even within these walls, the world will test us. But nothing, no betrayal, no rival, no threat will ever come between us. You are mine, every heartbeat, every breath mine. Alara's lips trembled as she pressed against him, the fear and adrenaline melting into desire and devotion. Yes, Alpha, she whispered. I am yours now and forever. Cal pulled her close, lips capturing hers in a kiss that was both possessive and tender, a reminder of the bond forged through jealousy, danger, and undeniable passion. Outside the palace remained silent, but within its walls, the Alpha King and his mate had solidified a claim that no treachery could touch. If you want, I can continue with Part 10, where Cal and Alara face a climactic threat from a powerful rival Alpha, testing their bond, loyalty, and the fire of their desire in a high-stakes, cinematic confrontation. Do you want me to continue with Part 10? The night was darker than usual, shadows twisting unnaturally under the silver glow of the full moon. The forest surrounding the palace was alive with tension, every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig a potential herald of danger. Cal's senses were taut, his wolf coiled beneath his skin, instincts alert to the faintest movement. Alara, he murmured, his silver eyes scanning the horizon. Tonight it will not be a simple challenge. He is powerful, cunning, and he wants to test my claim over you. Stay close. Alara nodded, her hand brushing his arm. Her heartbeat raced, not just from fear, but from the adrenaline of standing beside him, feeling the raw power and protective desire that surged from the Alpha she had come to love. I am yours, Alpha, she whispered. No matter what comes, I am yours. Cal's jaw tightened. Good. Then we face this together. From the shadows emerged the rival Alpha, tall, imposing, eyes glowing amber with ambition and malice. His pack flanked him, a wave of snarling, hostile wolves that spread across the clearing. Veyron, the rival snarled, you flaunt your claim, you parade your mate, but can you truly defend her against me? Cal stepped forward, his posture a storm of dominance and fury. His wolf surged to the surface, growling low and dangerous. She is mine? He said, voice low and lethal. Every heartbeat, every breath belongs to me, and anyone who touches her dies. Alara's breath hitched, pressed against him. She could feel the intensity radiating from him, the jealousy, the possessiveness, the raw power that marked him as her Alpha. Every fiber of her being thrummed in response, a mixture of fear, exhilaration, and desire. The rival lunged, teeth bared, testing Cal's strength. With lightning speed, Cal intercepted, moving with lethal precision. Their wolves clashed, snarling, circling, a battle of dominance and raw power. The forest seemed to hold its breath, moonlight casting silver shadows over the unfolding confrontation. Alara stayed close, her touch grounding him, a silent reminder that he fought not just for territory, but for her, for the bond they shared. Alpha together, she whispered, voice trembling with urgency and trust. Cal growled, voice vibrating through the clearing. Always my mate. His claws raked through the earth, fangs flashing, eyes blazing silver. The rival staggered under the ferocity of the Alpha King, and Kale's wolf surged forward, unstoppable, claiming both victory and warning. The rival retreated, defeated and humiliated, and the pack fell silent, the tension in the air dissolving under Kale's overwhelming presence. Kale turned to Elara, chest heaving, eyes softening as the fire of the battle ebbed into a smoldering heat. "Do you see now, Elara?" he murmured, cupping her face. "No rival, no threat, no force in this world can take you from me. You are mine, forever." Elara pressed herself against him, feeling the heat of his body, the power of his claim, and the depth of his desire. "Alpha, I am yours," she whispered, voice trembling with emotion and longing.
"Always."
Kale's hand slid down to her waist, pulling her impossibly close. Their lips met in a kiss that was both fierce and tender, a culmination of jealousy, desire, and unbreakable devotion. Every heartbeat, every breath, every nerve on fire, they were bound, in body and soul, by a claim no rival could challenge. Under the full moon, with the forest silent once more, the Alpha King and his mate stood together, triumphant, passionate, and unshakably united. The fire between them burned hotter than ever, a fire of desire, jealousy, and a love that no threat could ever extinguish.